Hey, Emerge community, what? Why are you laughing at me?
I made a face and you didn't even notice.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, not that you didn't notice.
Okay, so
I made a face.
I thought that's just your face.
Just my face.
I have the love of my life here. Clearly, it's our anniversary week. Our anniversary is on
Sunday.
Sunday. I feel like I should give you your present on this live stream.
Oh, yours is not wrapped.
Oh, yours is not wrapped either. I can't
believe.
believe.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's wonderful. So, our 12th anniversary is on Sunday, and in honor of anniversary week, we like to do one of our videos or podcasts together. I don't know if you realize that I do this every year. So today we're the title of this video / podcast, if you're listening to the audio, is "My Grumpy Husband is Happy and Productive Now." And so I have my guest of honor here. This is Charlie. If you don't know who he is my husband. We will be married for 12 years on Sunday, and he used to be grumpy, and now he's happy and productive. Yes. So that's what we're here to talk about. Okay, so I have some questions. We're just going to be like us, normal. We'll probably offend many of you by the way we interact with each other. My mom's been offended for a long time. But we have a lot of fun, and we don't take each other very seriously, so you'll see that. Okay, so we're just going to get into it. What were you like before when you went to work?
Before when I went to work? Well, I would start off the morning in a pretty good mood, ready to go until I saw people. And people meaning my coworkers. I wouldn't, be directly, I wouldn't be nasty to them, to them, but I would be in my mind like, oh, I think like, oh, there's, this thing, like tick off all the things that basically annoyed me about them. Wait, annoyed? Yeah,
yes. Yeah.
Right, okay. Annoyed me about them, and thinking like, why do they get preferential treatment? Why do you, the even really bad spectrum would be like, why do people even talk to them? And then wondering why I never got promoted. So yeah, but yeah, like that would be kind of thing, and then it would just kind of wear on me throughout the day, and like, I would get, or in most of this, or all of this is really internalized and like in my own mind, and like, why basically just a very negative attitude towards the people around me until they offered me candy. And then I would be very happy, like, oh yeah, sure, I'll take some. Not these days, because of,
Yeah, candy sharing is off limits.
Yeah, sharing is kind of off limits, but before then, but that was years ago when, that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
So that was, so that was kind of that wasn't great.
How did this impact our home life?
Well, I would bring it home, basically, and like I would see kind of things that are around the house, and be like, barking at the kids, essentially like, hi, I'm home. Put this away. Put that away. Why is this out? Where do you want this? What, and start like, basically nitpicking like little things or everything, and be kind of grumpy and upset as to why things were not already perfect and settled by the time before I came home.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, one of the big, I suppose it's an argument, is I would ask him how his day went. And so then he would spiral for, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And I would noticeably see his attitude get worse and worse and worse. And by the end of his, how was your day? Like, he was more upset. You'd think, how was your day? And talking to your spouse would be helpful. And it actually made him more upset. And so I think that was hard. He was frustrated that he couldn't get promoted, that everyone else was getting preferential treatment. And so then I am like, a performance coach trying to be helpful and be like, I don't know, maybe it's your incredibly negative attitude all the time.
And I say, no, that's not it.
That's not it. They're racist.
Or something.
Or yeah, whatever. And that caused a big strain. And so then I noticed that he would be in a worse mood, and I didn't want him to be in a worse mood. So I stopped asking him how his day was, because that, to me, that was the trigger. How was your day? Right? 30 minutes later, he is in a worse mood, so I should not do that because that makes it worse. Well, then he was mad because I wasn't asking him how his day was.
Right.
And so that, we just ended up in this cycle of frustration. So that's what it was like before. I'm curious if any of you listening can relate to any of these feelings or attitudes or whatever. But now, what are you like?
I am happier. I have a better attitude about work and home life and just life in general. Yeah, I guess I would. I would have a more grateful attitude about where I'm at, and yeah, I have just a more positive attitude.
And how has this impacted our life at home?
I think it's. I believe. I'm sure you will correct me otherwise.
You're happily married.
Right, I'm happily married, but it's been better. It's been good. I think the kids are definitely happy. I do from time to time slip into like, where's that? Why is that here? What what are we doing with that? And putting stuff, wanting to put stuff away or something going on a tear, and trying to clean everything up, or again barking at the kids to put their stuff away. And then as far as work goes, I have a better attitude about work, and definitely want to. Well, I want to be productive. I've always wanted to be productive, but I have a better attitude about it, and I'm not necessarily or not so worried about what other people are doing. And even if I was not. I'm not. I'm trying not to do it in a negative attitude way. And just trying to. I don't want to say keep my nose down at work, but I mean that's part of it. But also just again, just and generally being more positive about work.
So that's the before and after. So let's talk about the happiness experiment.
Okay.
I reprogrammed him. So this is Charlie 2.0. So when you're married to a performance coach, this is what you get, and I don't even charge him. So in your perspective, what things have changed that have led to this? I would call a massive shift, definitely a different version of you. It was always there in flashes, but now it's more of your time is in this place, as opposed maybe before it was 70% that guy and 30% happy Charlie. And now I definitely think it's flipped, if not even closer to 85-15. It's a drastic shift. So what do you think were the things that changed that?
Well,
from your perspective, then
yeah.
I'll tell you the right answer.
So I went back to work. I went back to my former job right after Thanksgiving, and then and that was just part time, and then since the end of April end of March is when I went back full time. So I since then, yeah, I definitely have a more, like I said, kind of more grateful attitude about one, just generally having a job as a way to provide for my family, or help provide for my family, and and contribute in that way. But essentially, the bottom line being a more grateful attitude about everything, and about what I still, whether or not it's externally and vocally complaining, or such as complaining about the wind in our area, or complaining about how certain little things don't work, mostly on certain apps.
Do not
Don't
curse
work.
Facebook while we're
I
on
didn't. I was talking
Facebook.
about Facebook. I was thinking of my work ADP app.
Oh gosh.
But anyway, but being more grateful, and like you said, 85-15. So, I have found myself kind of slipping a couple times here and there. Like, oh, like, why is this person doing that, or why is that person doing that? Like, it's like, well, whatever, and just kind of.
I'm just writing. If y'all have questions about increasing happiness, let us know. You keep
So
going.
anyway,
You're
yeah,
doing
being grateful about whatever it is, or just not being whatever it is. Being grateful for everything. That's something that we've been doing as a family over the last couple months, is maybe a year even.
great. Maybe 18 months.
Is before we go to bed, is before our prayer time, is to list off the things that we're grateful for. And we do that as a family, the kids and I and Tasha, and we all, go around and we say what we're grateful for. And so I think that's definitely helped.
Cool. All right. So now I'm going to tell you about my happiness experiment on my husband. Oh, what have you accomplished? Do you have any, okay, never mind.
I don't know. I got my job back.
Yeah, but they had been calling you, trying to give you your job back. So for context.
Yeah, but I still now have my job.
That's correct. So for context, however long ago it was, I was super, super sick. My autoimmune was out of control. And so Charlie stopped working at the lab, came to be at home to take care of all the housing things. So I was traveling a lot for work and working like crazy because the business needed a lot of attention. And so that's the context. So he did have, he got to have a sabbatical, which must be really nice.
It was nice.
Here are some of the things that I think have really contributed, I think, to my happiness. I think it's been global, right? As much as we're joking about my grumpy husband becoming happy, I think it's all of us in our house. The first thing is definitely the grateful list. So what I did is I started researching what were the things that increase and boost happiness, like from a clinical perspective. They're proven to boost happiness. I noticed that giving performance reviews to your husband was not on, like giving career advice to your husband is not on the proven happiness list. So I tried some other tactics this time. Number one, a list of 3 things you're grateful for. So that was pretty standard. So we started doing this, but you resisted.
I did.
You were not good. So I was like, we got to do this for this. The kids come in. We're like, we're going to do 3 things that we're grateful for. And how did you respond the first few weeks?
I don't remember exactly, but I don't think I either didn't participate or I was like, I'm grateful for a blanket, or I'm grateful for my clothes, or something like essentially protesting without protesting. So yeah, it would be, or I'm grateful for the eggs in the refrigerator, whatever, something.
My favorite was Haley would want to go first. She's the youngest. Then Zoe would go, then I would go, and then I'd say, Charlie, would you like to go next? And you would say, not really. But he was on the hook. He had to because the kids were doing it.
Yeah.
And over time, now that's changed, right? Now,
yes.
So the key of the 3 things you're grateful for actually creates this effect where the first one might be a little bit hard, but once you get to 2, you start to do 4 and 5, and you feel a feeling of abundance. And I thought that was really interesting research. And now you typically give 5 or 6 or 7 things you're grateful for.
Yeah.
Which I've been measuring. I don't think you've been measuring, but I've been measuring the increase.
I've been losing count.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty good. Second, we got you a dog. And you love your dog more than you love your wife and kids all together. How do you think the dog has impacted your happiness? And then I'll tell you what the research says.
I mean, I don't know. She's always happy, and she always wants to play, so that's fun. And she's also generally a good dog, so that helps. She still tore stuff up, and she chewed up a couple of Haley's shoes, a couple of my shoes. She started on a couple of your shoes. We've lost a couple TV remotes. But
a couple of my favorite graphic
a couple
tees.
shirts, right? A couch.
But look, he
um,
loves her. So why does the dog make you happy?
I don't know. I mean, I guess she's yeah. I mean, like she's generally happy. She doesn't nag me all the
He says,
time.
for those of you that couldn't hear, he says she doesn't nag me all the time. I don't know what you're talking about. You're happily married.
Actually, she used to nag me all the time. She used to be like, or actually, she still begs for food. Like she was,
Yeah, she totally nags you.
and then she one day she was or she would nag me to play
Kind of like
or go
getting
for a
nagged
walk.
to go on a date. It's the same thing. Why do you give her what she wants?
I don't know.
Interesting.
Oh.
I'll start a new experiment. So the research shows that the reason dogs make you happier is you're happier when you have at least 20 minutes outside. And so now you have the morning walk and the evening walk. So you've tripled your time outside. That is proven to increase happiness. The other reason is the tactile part of owning a pet. And that is like that need to touch and be touched. And so when you're petting your pet, you are creating positive neurotransmitters in your brain. Also, when you are looking in your dog's eyes, it increases oxytocin. And so, since you don't look in my eyes,
I'm looking in them right now.
barely, because I'm talking about that right
I
now.
look in your eyes all the time.
Well, sure. Well, I don't know if that's increasing oxytocin, but it
Look, I'm looking in
definitely
your eyes right there. How can you even tell?
definitely increases your oxytocin levels when you look into your dog's eyes. Okay, so the third thing, show them your abs. Just kidding.
That seems weird.
Okay, so one big accomplishment for this past year is,
I got into better shape.
I mean, better shape, that's like an understatement.
Well, okay, so I'm back down to my college weight.
No, you are literally in the best shape of your life.
You can say that. I can't say that for myself.
Oh my gosh, you're so weird. Okay,
Yeah.
so exercise for sure has been helpful. So
Yeah.
he has to exercise. That's become a non-negotiable on a daily basis because otherwise we spiral a bit. A couple other simple things is we are playing with dream boards. We've never really done that before, and there's a cap on the news negativity. So, as continuing our happiness experience, we went to Palm Springs last week, and in the car, he actually chose the book to listen to, The Happiness Advantage. Now, granted, his two choices were like The Happiness Advantage or like Fix This Next or some other.
Yeah,
What was that? I don't remember the other
but we listened
choice.
To both of them. Or the samples of both of them.
Yeah. And so he chose the happiness advantage, and I think it's another step as well. So, kind of as we wrap up here, what do you think are some of the things that now you're thinking about when it comes to increasing happiness? Because these things are kind of part of our everyday life already.
Well, we listened to the Happiness Advantage. We also Tasha and I also happened to start reading a book together called Get Out of Your Head, and then I also happened to listen to a sermon by our church, our local church, and they had I mean, I don't remember her exact title, but her basically like a clinical psychologist who studies this your brain and your brain on gratefulness kind of, and like one of the things that they talked about is just like your brain on being happy and your brain on spending time on positive thoughts versus negative thoughts or toxic thoughts, and also and like one of the takeaways from one of these sources I can't remember, there's three, was that you have a choice on like what you can think about, and then what you think about leads to either your like physical changes and also obviously what you think about. So and then how you continually go about your day and those things. So like one thing in particular from the Happiness Advantage was that like if you if you even have these little things that you seek out and do to make yourself happy, like at work in particular, um, actually does lead to productivity. But then what often happens is that leaders or managers, they think, oh, these people are wasting time talking when they should be working. Mm-hmm. And then, which obviously then, leads to, there people get either burnt out or they just, they don't have anything to look forward to really. So that was one thing, like just being, like having something little to look forward to can lead to your happiness, and also just like happier thoughts lead to better test results. And having a better attitude about it will also lead to better test results. And like I can't remember the exact details, maybe you do, but it was the like African American students that were taking standardized tests.
I think it was Asian. Oh.
Well, there's another one, well, yeah. So anyway, they had a better attitude, or once they saw.
You want me to tell it?
Yeah.
Okay, so the one I remember, because I'm Asian, an Asian woman, it stuck in my head more, is when Asian women took math tests, when the person had a quiz that said, like, are you male or female, and then took the quiz, they performed lower than when the Asian women filled out a question that said, what's your race? So I'm Asian, and then they went and took the test. So when they identified with this identity of being Asians good at math, did better on the test, women bad at math, did poorly, right? So just that, that believing in yourself, like I'm going to do well because this is how I operate, impacted actually test scores.
Yes, that's what I said.
Yes, that's exactly what you said. Anything else you want to share on that before I tell them what I picked up?
No. I don't think so.
You're not sure?
I'm not sure.
I'll tell you
later. I can't remember if
I'll tell you later if you're sure.
Okay, good.
What's really helpful about Charlie is he's scared of me. And so when I was like, you will work out every day, he did it, and then now he's happy. So.
But then remember back, like the first year we were married, you offered me like $1,000 to work out, and I wouldn't take it.
Yeah, so that's interesting. So financial incentives don't work.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Let's note that for next August, for anniversary week. What do y'all want to hear us talk about? A couple things that I noticed in the current happiness research that I am implementing or working on implementing with Charlie, of course, with clients, with myself, is the first one is anticipating a future reward makes us happy. I think this is super important right now. A lot of the reward structures that we have had as entrepreneurs have been stripped from us. Travel, seeing our team, that's been really, really hard. And so what I've really been working hard with clients on, right, because we can't wane in motivation during hard times. We know that, but we don't know how to boost it. And one way we can increase our happiness, increase our productivity, increase our motivation is to give us something to look forward to. Doctors who were given candy at the end of the day had 2 times productivity. Candy. Right? Like they made probably twice the money, but also like candy.
I would work harder for candy.
He would work. So I bribed him with $1,000 when we got married to get abs. I do not want you to read into.
It was P90X.
Yeah.
If I did P90X.
Yeah.
It's because also at the time we were doing, we had our bank account, but then we also had 2 allowance accounts that we could spend whatever we wanted on.
Yeah.
So she was.
So I've been doing performance experiments on Charlie since we were married. Clearly, so please don't think you can see that he's happily married. There's nothing to see here, people.
She didn't want a husband; she wanted a lab rat. And
I got it! Hooray! So yeah, we've been experimenting for a long time. Please know it's all in good nature. He is, in fact, no husbands were harmed in the making of this podcast. So anticipating a future reward. So I worked with a client this week who was really struggling with motivation. We set up a one night, overnight Airbnb alone, away from her family, and her productivity tripled probably, I would say, just because she had something to look forward to. I think that's super important. So I'll pick this stuff like that as well. 20 minutes outside, I thought that was really good and interesting. I noticed that I don't feel well when I'm not able to get outside, but I don't really like to be outside. So kind of forcing myself to do that has been helpful. Another big thing for happiness is spending money on experiences, not things. I think that's really a problem right now because a lot of the experiences that we would spend money on, we can't do, right? They're closed, travel is shut down. And so what I found us doing is buying things with our money to try to feel better, but it wasn't doing it. So I think one of the commitments we're going to do is just go ahead and spend the money, but spend it maybe at a different home, a different location, someplace novel that's within driving distance, and spend money on experiences. Another thing that we got is we got an outside projector that projects on the wall on the side of our house, and that has been an experience for our kids as opposed to a thing. And the projector creates the experience. That's been really helpful. And less TV and news, I think, is super important. And all the research points to happiness versus intake of news. There's a correlation there. So, be careful, friends. Like, we need to guard our happiness right now because it severely impacts our productivity. If the overall, what, Siri? I'm not talking to you. The overall productivity, right? If we're entrepreneurs, so if you're on salary, you can just show up. If you have wanes up and down and productivity, it'll all even out, be fine. In the world of entrepreneurship, we have to be productive. We have to produce solutions to people's problems. We don't really have the luxury of being unmotivated. So I think that we have to care, right, and nurture our happiness, productivity, motivation in ways, right, like at Charlie's job. And not that he's ever said this, but he felt like some employees think it's the boss's job to create a happiness. And maybe it is. But when we're the entrepreneurs, that means it's our job because we're our own boss. We are the ones that are in charge of creating our own happiness. So I wanted to get on here and encourage you guys for a couple things. If you're feeling down in the dumps, grumpy, whatever, here is evidence that is not permanent. Look at his smile. Can you tell he's happy? And it is by simple things like 3 things you're grateful for, a dog, exercise, right? Like, those are things we know we need to be doing, but it's had dramatic effects over the course of a year. We don't have to stay this way. And the other big takeaway is I just want you to guard it, be proactive, be almost like a warrior for these feelings. I think it's super important. Do you have any things that you want to share with them before you happily skip off to work?
No, I don't think so. I think we covered it all. Or at least covered the start.
Are you sure? Yeah. Say this. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. All right. Thanks, guys, for joining us. We hope that this was fun for you, a nice behind the scenes. If there's any questions that you have for us together as a married couple, we're open. Just let us know. We'd be glad to give you our very sarcastic perspective on it.
Very.
All right. Have a great day, friends.